Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Sylvia and I make videos on planning with the occasional review. Planning has always been my way of working out problems and solving the day-to-day issues in my life. Join me as I experiment on how to best tackle projects, figure out how to stick with habit tracking, and celebrate the wins, both big and small. So grab a cup or a glass of whatevs and let's get on with the video. Hello friends, welcome to the asylum. I'm just kidding. So I think I'm absolutely ready for 2026, and if you're not there yet, maybe we can get you there by the end of this video. So I watched a video a while back by Rachel in Theory, and she was doing a productivity system. She does a lot of those on her channel, and I took some notes right here from that video, and I talked about them in another video, and I forgot about it for a while, and I was like, I need to go back to that video and that system and just check off some things and see if it can help me make some executive decisions, and it did. Now this looks crazy. I understand that. You're like, Sylvia, I thought we were gonna try our best to be like in one planner. We are. But it is a system, and all of this is going to work together, and so let me talk you through it and see how you feel after we're done. No judgment until after, and then you can totally see you're crazy. Cool? All right, let's get to it. All right, let's start with my capture method. So a capture method, according to Rachel in Theory, is just something that's supposed to be temporary only. You are using this as a place to capture things as they come. So let's say you're on the go and you have a little notebook. This little notebook is going to capture a quote that you heard someone say. It's going to capture a suggestion for a book someone gave you when you were at the library for 5 minutes checking out some books, a movie that someone suggested, or a TV show. Zoom in a little bit here. So my main capture method for 2026 is going to be this little guy. It's also going to be my everyday carry, just all of the things health, because that is my number one on my list for 2026. I can bring this up in case you would want to take a screenshot, although I highly recommend just watching the video and, you know, taking from it whatever you would like, and, you know, leaving what you don't. Okay, so this is a passport-sized traveler's notebook. I have not had a ton of success planning in this because it's too small for all of the things, but it's just right. Really a Goldilocks for me on the go. And so the way I'm going to use this as a capture method is I have 3 inserts in here, and the first insert I'm probably going to take out and replace. So this was a blank insert of Tomoe River paper that I was using in the summer to jot down notes on the go for short fiction. And I really like this, so I'll probably return to it in the summer, but I would like to use a small notebook, probably by Traveler's Company. I have a set of 3 of these passport dot grid ones, and they are 5mm, so that's really nice. I don't like it to be too small. And I can just come in here and I can write down, like I mentioned, a suggestion for a TV show someone gave me, or maybe someone says, hey, on a Tuesday, do you think we can get together? And I'll be like, okay, Tuesday, let me look at my schedule and I'll get back to you. If somebody emails and says, hey, I need a meeting about my pages that I sent you for my novel, can we do that this week, because I'm having some struggles and I'd love to do some brainstorming. So I'll write that down and I'll come back to it later when I know more of what my schedule is going to be like. So this is going to be a notebook that I keep just for those things. And again, it's temporary, so all of the things in here should be moved somewhere else. So I'm going to make a note before I forget for myself, right here, that when I do my weekly reset, that's usually on a Sunday, I sit down and I look at my week, and my niece and I get together, we get our planners out, and I say, okay, what are all of the things that I'm gonna have to drive you to? So when I come in here and I schedule something, like let's say this is week 1 of the new year, I want to be able to take everything that's in week 1, and when I'm ready to sit down and write, okay, here's where week 2 is going to start, I have gone through all of these and I have marked it off at the top or at the bottom, so I know that everything on these pages have been moved to where they need to go. Even if it's a quote that I heard in a movie that I was watching, or a TV show. That happens a lot. Or a word that I didn't know, or a word I think I should use more often. I write it here, but at the end of the week I put it where it needs to go, in my quote book, in my vocab, you know, journal, whatever it is, so that it's no longer in my capture method, because it's not meant to live here. The second insert, which is the first one really in here, is my on-the-go capture method for health. So I printed this out, and I can do a little video on how I did this. It's pretty easy and very simple. It is a month on 2 pages, and I'll link it down below. So it doesn't actually have this insert in between the months. I Frankensteined this together. All like Harry Harling. So what you do is you go ahead and you print out the year, only on one side, don't double-side it, and then you put it back through your printer and print whatever you want to be in between the months. So I've set this up for, hopefully, my health. So these are tiny little squares. I think you could fit maybe a nickel in here, but a quarter would cover these squares. That's how tiny they are. Let me zoom in case you can't see it and my camera can focus better. So I thought I could fit about 3 things into this square. So my weight for the day, my steps, and then the calories that I had, the total calories for the day, just so I can see it day to day, week to week, and month to month. Anything health related I can track on here or off to the side. It's small enough that I can do that, but again, this size does not work for me as a planner. I feel like if I don't carry this with me and record my health, I'm just not going to do it. If I have to sit at my desk at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, I'm probably going to skip one or both. If it's with me all the time, I'm more likely to do it, and I've found success by making sure to write things down. Now, I recommend that you weigh yourself at least 3 times a week. I think every day is just, it's just too much for me. I'm not going to get that together. But if I only weigh in once a week, which I used to, and Monday comes, let's say I do it on a Monday, and I eat naughty, the next Monday I'll be like, I'm going to weigh in on Tuesday. Or on Wednesday, and then Thursday comes, and then I'm like, I'm gonna wait till next Monday, and then I don't weigh myself again. Then it becomes a habit of me not doing it. So it's best for me to try to weigh in 3 times a week so that I'm always aware and I'm a little more consistent in paying attention to how I'm eating and how I'm treating myself. And I need to think of it that way. I'm treating myself badly sometimes, and I shouldn't be. I should be my best friend. My own best friend. Anyway, so here I thought these were some to-dos I could also use as early month, mid-month, and late month. So I like to break down, excuse me, my voice is just going to keep cracking, the month into thirds. So early month is from the 1st to the 10th, and then mid-month is from the 11th through the 20th, and then late month is the 21st to the end of the month, depending on if we have 30 or 31 days. So it's 10 days. And so this actually has exactly 10 little boxes if you use the checkbox. So I can put the 1st through the 10th here, and then all the things that I want to do. Even though there's only 2 pages, I didn't want to make this too thick, so you could add another sheet in between if you wanted to. I can just put early month here, and then somewhere here, maybe mid-month starts, and then this could be all late month. It just depends. I have printed these off, and I've drawn them out in the past, so if I need more space, I can do something like that, and it's not that serious because I don't need to keep these. I usually throw them away eventually, and not refer to them after that 10 days or that month is over. And I always have usually videos to refer to if I need them. So that's what's in this little insert here. And this last little insert, I don't have a cover on, but this is I think they call it, no, I want to say it's like all-in-one notes or something like that. But they have these cute little boxes at the top. Let me bring you in a little closer. And it's just really easy to line up your ruler and make this a whole monthly calendar because the box is already there for you. I like to do like a weekly where I probably would draw a line here, put Monday through Sunday, and put like just my appointments, and then the rest of this would just be for to-dos. I thought it would be really nice for health if I put breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then snacks, have this page to record like my totals for each of those days, as well as like Monday through Sunday meal planning, and then down here maybe those few things I have in the fridge that need to be used, and if I don't use them, they need to be frozen. You know what I mean? Like, so if you have hamburger or green beans, they're gonna go bad. It's like, if we don't cook them, we need to freeze them. So that's what I thought this would be good for. Also, if you did that for the full week, you could use the rest of them for just dailies until the next week. And maybe my dailies, if I'm just writing down the total calories and not necessarily what I'm eating, maybe I could fit 3 days to a page. These are smaller, it just depends. But this is just kind of like throwaway, so I didn't want to use like beautiful paper or anything expensive. It was easy to print out, and I can print out as many as I'd like. And I already printed out 2 of these, so I have them ready to go when I need them. So this is everything I'm going to keep with me in my everyday carry on the go for 2026. And I think that this will be very successful because it's small, it can fit into any bag all year round, and I usually have it with me at some point anyway. Digital capture methods that I keep with me at all times. So this is something that I learned and I really need to update, and I'm sorry, it's probably like messing with the white balance on my camera, but this is the Apple's Notes app. You can actually use these as widgets on your actual screen to go ahead and do a couple of different inboxes. Like this one says vocabulary, this one says writing tasks, and this is just my regular inbox. I think that's pretty cool. I still don't know a lot about this. I watched a video and did it, and I could not do it again without watching the video, so maybe I'll do a short for this later. But this is also something you can do if you find it hard to carry a capture method with you, and I tend to put a lot of stuff, especially writing things, into my Notes app all of the time, so it's really nice. I know some people keep recipes on their Notes app as well, and pictures, so I haven't really done all that stuff, but I'd like to do more of that because I feel like that would probably work best for those things. I also like to keep things on my Google Drive just because I find that because I have an older MacBook and an older iMac, the iMac is very old and really slow, and I just use it mostly for video conferencing and stuff like that. So I tend to keep all of my downloads for like printables and things that I use all of the time, like my sticky notes and what have you. I like to keep that on my Google Drive just because I always have access to it. And if I put it like on a hard drive, I forget about it and I have to go like find it again and re-download it from Etsy or wherever I have it. Other things I have used for capture methods for everyday carry stuff is stuff like this. So I ended up pulling out some pages and I cut it too deep. So this is falling apart, but it didn't matter because these are throwaways anyway. But this is in passport size. This is how I was keeping my dailies on the go. So it just had some to-dos and then like a little bit of a note. And that's stuff that I can put into my main daily planner later. So this worked really well for a while. I probably got bored. There were some time blocking as well that I kept in here. Very simple and easy. I also did 10-day planning in here. So here was early month, and then I just have like a little system here where I mark off when it's done, and then this is like the date I started it and the date I finished it, so I don't have to like rewrite it on a different day, and that was really nice. And so I highly recommend doing something like that. So this is something I might do in the dailies if I choose. Also, this is pocket size. I have 3 of my main priorities at the top. Over here, I have more tasks, and then I have a little bit of a time ladder off to the side there. Very simple and easy throwaways. These are things that I do in my capture method that I don't actually need in my main planner. And now we can move on to the task manager. So I am currently using a Moleskine Large for my task manager right now, and I want to move into this for 2026. So in here, a task manager is really where you just kind of break down your tasks or your projects. And so I have this mixed with long-term projects as well as short term. And I like to think on the page when I'm doing things like this, but they're very, very messy. So I would prefer that once I realize a project is going to be more long term, that it goes into here so that I can make progress bars and I can kind of chip away at it and add to it. And I can pull from this list on to, you know, my dailies or weeklies for to-dos for that task or that project. So I would prefer to do that. And this is my idea notebook that goes inside of my planner for 2026 because I have the Jibun Techo, and I think that that would work really well. And this is fairly thin. I don't have to carry either of these with me anywhere. I just have my capture method and I add to this, but I am going to work on tying these back to my planner. So for instance, this is my planner for 2025 2025. I'm going to be pulling it into 2026, but it's not going to be my everyday carry or planner. It's going to be my writing planner because the one I have right now is ending in 2025. So the way this looks is it has a monthly on 2 pages in case you haven't seen this, and then it has a weekly setup like this. So I had a Leutrim 1917 B6 Plus, and that had all of the year in the front, and then it had like bullet journal style dot grade pages in the back. And it had also a little slit like this on the calendar, and I was like, what is that for? And so they had this really cool idea that like if on the 21st you had a meeting and you had notes for that meeting in the back in the pages, you could just write down what page those notes were on. So like, let's say it was on page 9, you could write that. And so you could tie this meeting to the back of your notes. You can do that in a separate notebook. We do this in the bullet journal community and we call it threading. Usually the way threading works is, so I'll number these page 18 and 19. Let's say that this is your monthly task list, and the last monthly task list was on page 3. So you can put an arrow like that and a 3, and that's how you kind of thread it so you know where the last one was. And you can do that with project pages. So since this is my task manager, I thought what I could do is I printed out, let me zoom back out. These are by Plan with B. I printed out these calendar keys, and I thought I could go through here and the major big long-term projects I want to work on, I could write them out here. So let's say the first one is project 1, and it's a writing project. I could go ahead and I could list out like what pages project 1 were in here. So maybe they're on page 9, 12, and 21. So that is just sort of a way you can use this to tie it back to this. And I can go ahead and name this Task Manager. That way I know that that's what this is from. I also have one that I want to do with my regular notebooks. It's not my task manager because according to Rachel and Theory, you should only have one task manager if you can help it. I think she did mention she has 2 only because at work they have a separate one that's all digital, but this one for her personal one is paper. So the next one is your calendar, and this is definitely a calendar that I use my monthlies on, but I tend to, although sit down and write down my niece's things on here and my things on here, I have a digital one as well, only because a lot of my niece's school stuff is already on there and I can just sync her calendar really easily. I have other family members in school, so when it comes to like their schedules for sports, I can just see that and pull it off of the interweb and put it on to here. So those are my 2 main calendars. And I do other things on top of my calendar, like once these weeks have passed, I always put a bunch of sticky notes here. This is a mill binder idea I wanted to do that I'm taking from Clutterbug, I think is her name, her YouTube channel. I don't know why I haven't thought about this before, but I'm like, oh my gosh, this is something I definitely want to do. I don't like my handwriting. I do have one of those box set of recipes and I'm not going to get it together. I've had it for like 3 years now, but I feel like doing it digitally would work best for me and my family, and anyone can add to it. We can all upload it to our drives and have a shared file. And then at the end of every month, once we've added 6 or 7 recipes, I can just print them all out at once, and I can print them 2 to a page or 1 to a page just on letter size paper and make a binder. So be looking for that video because I think that's going to be a great little project for 2026. And the last thing I forgot to talk about is this. So this is a printable by Planner B, and I don't know, I think maybe you're supposed to print these out. It was all on 1 page, and then this one as well, but they weren't in order of like the quarter. It was like January, February, March, and I was like, that is weird. So I printed them out and I put them on this black cardstock, and I thought that this would be easy to go ahead and take some sticky notes and plan out my projects. And so I did that already as I was trying to see like where am I going to start this project? When am I going to finish with this one? And I did this on my Year at a Glance, but they were kind of small. And I have some, information there on sticky notes from that, but I thought it would be better to do it like this because I can also pin them to my wall and have them throughout the year in case, you know, at the end of the quarter not everything got done or checked off. I can redo the next quarter slightly different, and I might go ahead and number them, but it's okay if I don't because I really just need to know what I'm doing in January, when I'm finishing things in May and stuff like that. And I feel like this can be not only a tool, but another capture method that I can just move around and change whenever I want. It's not meant to be temporary, but it does help me think things through. And although I do have like smaller calendars for specific projects so that it has just the dates for those projects, that is my main calendar along with my Google Calendar. On to notes. Okay, so I was watching like at 2 a.m. in the morning, so don't quote me on this, but I think it was Lindsay Scribbles. She had a old Hobonichi, and so do I, that she wanted to turn into, I don't know if it was just a planner and a notebook or both, but I thought, oh yeah, I have this 2024 one that didn't work out for me. I spent some monies on it. I bought it from my niece, one of my older nieces. It's a Han, so it has a hardcover, which is what she didn't like about it. She liked the soft cover one. So I think I gave this probably about 2 months before I quit. January, February, I thought maybe, no, I didn't even make it a whole quarter, so 2 months. And so the great thing about this is, a lot of Asian planners will give you some forwarding for the next year. So this already has another January, February, and March of the next year. So even though I use these two, I can use January in here and February. I can choose to go ahead and number these, and that would be pretty simple. You can black them out with a marker, and I think she actually wrote with like a white gel pen over it. So we'll see what happens. But if I wanted to use this as a planner or a notebook with a calendar, I certainly could do that. This has 3 sections. So the monthly, the weekly looks like this. It's vertical, and then the daily. So I wanted to use this more for like my meeting notes. It would sit at my old iMac. So when I sit down for a Zoom meeting or a Google Meets, I can have this open and I won't have all of my notes all over the place. Like I had a notebook that I thought I was going to use. I didn't like it. And so I went to a different notebook, and that was okay. But then I moved it or something. I think I was trying to keep it as a task manager at the time and I misplaced it. So I had like 6 or 7 regular size sticky notes because that's what I had near me when I sat down, and I realized, oh crap, we're starting the meeting and I don't have my notebook. So I think this would work really well. And you can use this like a bullet journal style. So the if you haven't done this before, the date actually becomes the page number. So April 13th, you can go to the front and use this section up here as an index. So you would go to like April, this way, Sylvia, and you could find that date, and you can write that on that date you have like a short story for about a cat, or you have your meeting notes for January 1st, because I did definitely use the first couple of weeks, if not the whole month of January in here. So that's the kind of way that you can use this. And again, if I wanted to tie this to my calendar, I would just do what I mentioned before, where I would come here and say on the 23rd we met. I can just write a little notch here, and I can put it on April 14th, and I can just put Han, and then I know that that's where those notes for that meeting are. So just tying them together so that I remember and I don't just start doing something in a different notebook or in a different planner is going to be really helpful to my brain, and threading them in this way is really hopefully going to work and help me succeed at this in 2026. Also, the meeting notes that I end up taking in an email. So at some point they are digital, but I just need to handwrite them as we're talking about them. I think that typing them would be too distracting when you're on a Zoom call. So that's why I wanted something like this. I also thought that I could put some writing notes in here. Like I mentioned, I could write a short story, and you know, instead of putting it into my task manager where I'm breaking down a story, it'd be easier to do it in something that's this size. Not always do I want to think on the page. Sometimes I can just type it out. It just depends. Also, vocabulary, I don't have a place for that in my system right now. So this would be a nice place to just sit down and put like week 23 of the year. And I just put all of the words that I'm studying that week. And then I can work on them for a couple of pages if I'd like. It could also be a place where when I'm on the go and I find a new word that I want to use or a word I should be using more and I put it in my capture method, this could be a place where I house that. I could also do it digitally as well because I do keep digital notes in my Google Docs. I also have this little guy. So this is a Hobonichi A6 2026 weekly vertical. It looks like this, and this is another like capture method, I guess you could say. Also can be like a mini task manager. I just like to keep my weekly chart in here because I feel like it's just best to fill it out that way. I like to see it within a week. So it looks like this, if you haven't seen this before. And it just really helps me with my habits. Like I have circled everything pretty much in this week for reading because I'm not doing it. I'm listening to a ton of audiobooks because I've had a lot of cleaning and organizing to do, but haven't really been sitting or taking a lie down and reading. So that is something I need to work on. I've mentioned this before, but if you want to read more, I would never as a writer tell people you have to write every day. I think that's kind of ridiculous. But if you said I wanted to read 20 minutes a day, so that's 20, 40, 60, 20, 40, 60, 20, so 2 hours and 20 minutes a week. It's easier and more plausible for me to just be like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read for 1 hour 3 times a week. And then you get a little more than your 2 hours and 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And the same for writing. Like if you want to write, 5,000 words, I would recommend that you write about a little over 1,000 every day for 4 days, or at least 4 days out of that week instead of trying to write every single day. That just makes more sense to me. So I really love this thing, and that's what's going to be going in this guy here. So I'm not really sure if I didn't label it as it's a habit tracker, but I'm like, is this a task manager? Because I know you're only supposed to try to keep your task manager to 1. Even if it's a mini one like this, I think it's okay because it works really well for me. I don't know. What else would we call this? Let me look at my list. Maybe it's just another capture method. I don't know, but it's cutesy and I hope that it's going to work out because it's already numbered for the year. So I have to do less work. The only thing I have to do is draw a line for my categories. So there's that. And this is part of my daily planner. So here is the old daily planner and the new daily planner. So a daily planner is a place where you immediately schedule things, your tasks, your notes, all of that jazz, what your thoughts were on a specific day. And these include your events, your tasks, your time tracking, and any timelines. So in here, this is the Jibun Techo in V6 Slim. I'm not sure about carrying this with me, but I feel like I can fill it out at the beginning and end of the day. And I'm thinking that this would be best as a memory keeper, a little different than just straight up, I'm going to write dear journal, diary stuff in here. So we have our My Dreams and Events, and this has a section for each month of the year. So I can go in here, and if I know that like in May we always do a certain thing, or in August we always do a certain thing, or there's something coming up in November of next year that I want to schedule, I can go ahead and do that here. We have like 1, 2, maybe 3 of these free lists, which is kind of awesome. So they're not labeled anything. I thought fun things to schedule and try could go here. Also, we have this one, which is going to be for like my watch list. We forgot we were watching Dairy, you guys, and it was really good. We just got so busy and I was like, there's something else we're supposed to be watching. So we finally finished season 1 and it was pretty great. So this is where I'm going to put TV shows. I'm watching movies and all that jazz. There's a couple of different categories here, or columns rather, which is kind of awesome. So I can actually write down like, if we're watching that on Hulu, sometimes there'll be a show that's on a couple of different places. So I want to do that. Same here, but this is my TBR. So what I want to be reading and where I can get it. Is it in the Libby app? Is it an audiobook or a physical book? Is it at my library? Do I have it and it's on my shelf? Do I need to buy it? And any suggestions can go on here, because I think those are the most important lists that I actually will check and use. And I really don't want to keep them in here. I feel like this is just best for a task manager. On the monthly, this is where I'm going to schedule all the things. I'm going to pull from my Google Calendar, as well as Jade and I sitting down and being like, what's your schedule? Here's mine. And filling this out so it should have all of the things. Down here, I have never had a lot of success for a long period of time with daily tracking. Like I mentioned, I don't do writing every day. I don't do reading every day. I don't think that works for me. You don't have to weigh yourself every day, but 3 to 4 times is really nice to be consistent. So I think I might do some reading or other projects here and just see like what days I checked in on those things, how long it took me to read a book, and use it more for a Gantt chart than a traditional, you have to check these things off every day tracker. Those don't work. That's why I moved my habit tracker into here. And for those who are new here, the reason why I don't have this list of stuff on a traditional tracker isn't just because they don't work. It's because these things need more information than I can fit into one of these tiny little boxes. That's why I don't do them here. That brings us to the dailies. And so for the dailies, you guys, I'm thinking about doing more like memory keeping here. So I'm going to be taking all of my capture methods, and if I find a quote that I want for this day, or maybe you also have like, I don't know, like a young kid who's like 7 or 8 who says the funniest things, and you're like, I want to write that quote down of what they said today. You can put that there. Maybe it's just like a to-do list where I write down what I actually did for the day. So this might be more recording and then like more of a journaling or snapshot of what this day was about. So when I go back and I'm like, what did I do on the first? I'm like, oh yeah, and that helps trigger me to remind myself what we did. There might be a combination of filling a little bit of this out, like this time ladder here, but then coming back at the end of the day to fill out, like I mentioned, I'm just going to be recording more than actually planning. A lot of the planning is going to happen in here. A lot of the planning has already happened pre-planning anyway in the monthlies here, as well as at the front here. So this might just be, yeah, more of a memory thing. I see people who keep this as a journal, the Jibun Techo, and they just write all the way across like this. I don't think that's who I am, even though I am a writer. I don't find it as beneficial to journal every single day a bunch. You know, like a blurb is pretty much good for me. I've tried to do that before with no success, and it didn't help me. I know it does help some people with their mental health and other things, but for me, it just doesn't work, and that's okay. So yeah, I think that might be what happens in here, but it is important to keep a daily planner, and I'm excited to move this one, or move into this one and change this one to just my writing. So that will just look like me planning out how I hope my month will go in writing. And then this will just reflect what actually happened. So what I wrote, how much I wrote, what chapters I worked on, what project, just small little blurbs so that I can remember what I did for the week and see my success, because writing a novel takes a long time, and sometimes you're like, I haven't done anything, and then you can look at your planner and be like, no, yes I did. All right, so that is everything, you guys. Has that been helpful to you? Do you guys feel like any of these things here would help you with your system? Maybe go over this list and see if there's anything that you're missing, anything you can change. Remember, you can have as many capture methods as you wish, but having a minimal or trying to size them down into something like this might make you a little more successful. And I feel like now I would feel more confident about having like a quote journal or something else. Also, really quickly, I think I forgot to mention this little notebook. So this is a traveler's notebook. It didn't work for me as a planner, but it's really working as like a hobby journal. So this is my journal for music. I pick an album that I want to listen to. I write down the title of all the songs. I listen to them and then I grade them, usually like a 9 out of 10 system. And then I put my overall thoughts, any quotes notes that I really loved from the songs as I'm listening, and I also read the lyrics as I'm listening to the song so that I can capture all of that, and it's really nice and fun. I've really enjoyed this. If I had a capture method that I would have to write later. A lot of people don't like writing things twice. Writer Carol, pretty much in the bullet journal, he lives and dies by rewriting. He says that it helps you filter out things you don't need anymore. And I think that I'm just going to be okay with it for a while and just see how it goes. So here we come, 2026, and I will see you guys in the new year, because I don't believe I will see you before then. All right, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.